Hello and welcome to the Fire Practices Weekly video. It's Carolyn.
And Yesbel.
And we are talking this week about fire. And I am coming to you after having been on fire. So this week, definitely, there's a lot of ways for me to connect with fire. But I had my second booster shot, and these COVID shots really make me sick for like 24, 36 hours. And I had a fever of 101, which is high for me, for sure. And it just like we are made up of these cells, all these cells. You can't count them all, but there's at least 30 trillion cells in the human body. And they're little fires like that. They're little fires of life. We are made up of these more than 30 trillion fires within. And I was firing on all of them yesterday, trying to fight prepare me to fight the virus. And I love this idea of memory, like the cells have memory. So they practice doing what they need to do. And then if you really are exposed to the virus, you know what to do. That's a way we can connect with fire. The element of fire is even just within our bodies. And then of course, this week we're having the full moon, which has been beautiful. As Belt's nodding, I saw a beautiful moon. You saw a beautiful moon?
I had a full moon like ceremony circle yesterday, and afterwards, like after the circle, I ended it with a dance because I just find that like it's so high energy that it's best to just like release, at the full moon it's good to release. And I think doing a dance is a good way to do it. And then like the moon comes up late now in the summer. So when I got home, the moon was right in front of my building and it was so low and bright. And I just feel like it didn't let me sleep.
It had things to say to you, fire. So it's like we're in this summer fire, we're to listen. And yesterday I didn't do anything because I was personally on fire, but the night before when the moon was basically full, I thought it was even earlier than seeing the moon, but I caught it coming huge out of my window. And so I ran out of my house and I just was like following to the places where I could see it and ending up just seeing it rise, getting a little. This is when the moon is closest to the earth, so it's the moon just full in the sky and being able to see like its craters and pockmarks. So that's the light of the sun coming to us indirectly and even filling the night, because of course the sun is obviously a fire element, teacher of fire. And I love that we have the full moon, and then next week, 1 week later, is the solstice. So we are in a fiery time. Another thing about fire, I think it's in one of the daily emails, like fire is kind of an energy, even a subtle energy, or what you perceive. Sometimes you go to a place, a place in nature, or human habitation, or a city or a town, and you can sense like, oh, there's an energy of this place. And it's a high energy, or sometimes there's low energies, places where something traumatic has happened. So this week, as you're walking with fire, kind of tap into like, oh, there's an energy of this place in this building, in the market, those kinds of things. And then, I do this sometimes with the meditation, I feet to the ground, we connect with the earth, you breathe in, connecting with the air element, connect with the heart, because it pumps the liquid of our blood throughout our body. And imagine that kind of liquid coming down and reaching the tips of our fingers and just moving your thumb over a couple of fingers and feeling that energy. It makes me think of like, oh, I'm feeling the fire of the cells burning within me. So that is a little overview of fire and suggestions for kind of practices. But now we're going to get into our herb crafting, which is always exciting. Ooh, and we have one of my favorite plants coming up. Take it away, Yasbelt.
All right, let's talk about it.
Oh, and just before we
Yeah.
end, remind me so I don't forget to do the solstice strawberry practice.
Yeah, totally. Okay. All right, here it is. Okay, so here we are, Fire Week. We're already up to the 4th week. This time has just gone by so quickly. So the Fire Week, the message from the herb crafters is ignite the flames of creativity, seek inspiration by the light of a witch's torch.
Oh.
Let desire illuminate courage.
These are beautiful messages for mullein, which I love, this plant that just appears by the side of the road. And like illuminating courage. It seems like, that the top, the spike with the flowers, it does. It's like an illumination. And the plant is brave. It will grow anywhere. It grows like in these tiny little places of dirt on a sidewalk.
Yeah, it grows in, I've actually even seen it in the city, but not often, but I have seen it here. And it grows tall just like that.
Yeah.
Because it shoots up pretty quickly. Like looking at these 3 messages, ignite the flames of creativity, kind of makes me think about what you were saying about the little balls of fire that make us up, because they also like motivate and mobilize us to do things. Like when that's ignited, for me, like I just feel so alive and like ready to like take action and do things. And that's fire, taking action. So
Sure.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about mullein. So mullein is Verbascum taspus, and it's commonly used for respiratory issues. So like, like during COVID, especially at the beginning, at the herb shop where I was working, we were like running out of mullein. There was like a shortage, and then we started like rationing it. Like people could only buy a certain amount. And just like Carolyn said, it's found at the edge of a garden. And sadly, the poor thing has been downgraded into a weed. But one thing to know is, like, if it's a weed, look it up, because a lot of the time it has a medicinal property. And when it comes on its own, it could also have like a magical reason why it's there. So I invite you to get to know your weeds, say hi to them, and see if they have a message for you.
Did you say once you thought mullein had a meaning of protection?
Yeah. Like stands tall. Yeah. I think it's protection and courage, actually. Yeah. So the first year of mullein, it's really short. It stays close to the ground. It kind of looks like this. And then the next year, that's when the stalk shoots up. This is a really big one.
Yeah.
I imagine this one is like 7 or 8 feet tall.
Oh, that's a big one.
It just looks humongous.
I do see them around, they're like 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
Fairly commonly in the valley. I mean, around.
Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
This is actually a picture of when I was on like an herb class that I took, and we went out to like get to know the plants, get to know the weeds. And this was a mullein leaf, and if you touch it, it's really soft and fuzzy. And if you go out to like buy some mullein to make tea or to smoke, if you get, I would say like just get like 1 ounce. If you're gonna use it for smoking, definitely you could just go with half an ounce. If you're gonna use it for tea, you really just need 2 ounces max, because 1 ounce goes a long way. And then this is kind of like what it looks like when it's dry. And the herb craft is herbal smokes. So you'll need mullein. If you wildcraft it from your neighborhood, dry it on your altar first. It'll probably take like a week to dry,
Mhm.
and then get a pipe or rolling papers. And then the other thing you can do also is if you have like a fireproof container, like a little cauldron or something, you could put it in there and burn it on some coal as well if you don't want to smoke it, because just inhaling the smoke from it, even if you don't like directly smoke, is also good for the respiratory system.
Like, it seems counterintuitive just because, you know, there's such a strong anti-cigarette smoking campaign, right? But that smoking can be good for your lungs, but mullein, because it has these beneficial properties, it's
Exactly.
smoking
So
that helps.
yeah, so I mean, like working at the herb shop, one thing that I learned is that smoking does have some medicinal properties, and it could be good for the internal system. But like we talked last week, oh no, 2 weeks ago, like anything can be a poison if the right dosage. So, you know, just don't do too much because you can hurt your throat and also your lungs. And also when you think about cigarettes, they put in like things that are just not good. Because
Like-
tobacco on its own is fine. It's just that they put other stuff in it that's not good for the body at all. So if you must smoke, make your own. So what did I say here? Mullein makes a lovely infusion that's beneficial for colds and coughs. The flowers can be infused in oil to soothe earaches. Like the herb shop always has mullein oil in stock.
I've
In
used-
modern herbal dispensary. Wait, did you say something?
I was gonna say, I've used mullein for that before I even, you know, like someone gave me the tincture, the oil, and it really did help my ears.
Yeah, yeah. So Tom Easley and Stephen Horn say that mullein is often used as for chronic lung problems, such as asthma, and it's helpful for colds and coughs, particularly dry coughs. So it's true, like in tincture blends that are for like the respiratory system, it often includes mullein as one of the ingredients. And smoking is not reserved for tobacco. Many people smoke herbs because they don't contain nicotine and to lessen the dependence on tobacco. Others enjoy smoking for the visual pleasure of smoke. And for rituals and meditation, I went to this psychic medium, and she told me that one way to connect with my ancestors was to smoke cigars. So I went and I went to this cigar store that was in Midtown. It's like this fancy cigar store, and I bought a couple of cigars, but the practice wasn't for me, so I never really kept up with it. But like, you know, some people like use the smoke as also for divination. So that could be like an interesting thing to do as well. There are many herbs that can be smoked, not just tobacco or mullein. Mullein is one of them. The light and fluffy texture makes an ideal base for a smoking blend. It also serves as a supportive role for the lungs. If you would like to add flavor, add in lavender or mint, and you can smoke by rolling in papers or a pipe. Do you ever smoke, Carolyn?
I went to Marlborough College and I smoked briefly then. But I was not ever really a big smoker, but
So you were like smoking like store-bought cigarettes?
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. So smoke herbs for immediate calming sensation. Oh, that's another thing with like let's say like eating CBD, like a lot of people like to take a tincture or the oil. If you're taking it even for like pain or anxiety, if you smoke it, it goes like straight into like the blood system, and it works so much faster than if you take a tincture.
I
I don't know why my
your computer's talking to you.
yeah.
I know that what you're saying from a friend who was having cancer treatment and was not a smoker at all, but she did smoke marijuana when she was having the treatment to help, because it would very quickly bring her relief.
Yeah, and it works immediately. So somebody who I worked with at the herb shop who made like a bunch of like herbal blends for smoking, he said to put a little bit of honey on it to make it, I guess, a little bit easier to like burn. Another thing that can be done is to just burn the mullein leaves energetically, kind of like sage.
Right.
That's like another thing you can do. Like maybe if you have like the leaves near you, you could just harvest them and make like a little mullein bundle.
Mullein bundle. And this is a good thing too, because white sage, that's, people think, oh, you have to use white sage, is actually somewhat endangered. And it comes from the native tradition. So it's kind of just, it could be cultural appropriation, like if you're not doing it thoughtfully, or you just think like, oh, I have to use sage, but sage doesn't grow wild around where I live. Mullein might be the more appropriate thing for me, kind of connecting with the land, connecting with fire. Mullein might be the thing for me to use people use to kind of cleanse. So I think in the herb crafter, they talk about that when they talk about white sage. It's like, you don't have to default to white sage. There are other herbs that we can use, and maybe some that are more appropriate to the place where we live.
Exactly. That's like one of the things about like plants and the weeds that are growing. It's like, use them. A lot of the time they weren't planted there, they came there on their own.
So they have a message for you. They want help. They want to be in relationship with you because they showed up.
Yeah, and also like, since they came there on their own, it's like they're offering themselves up as well. Like they want to be employed. So you could also drink mullein. It tastes good. Because there are some herbs that taste bad, but mullein tastes good. It like blends well with other herbs. So you could like, use it, drink it. I think it tastes good. And we already said you can also infuse mullein in oil.
You can go back to last week's video to find infusion, that the week before, to find oil, and then the week before infusion. So all these ingredients are there.
Yeah. So when I was looking through the Herb Crafters tarot, these are some of the herbs that I picked out for smoking. So hemp, CBD, cannabis, that's like a known one that people like to smoke. And now it's becoming like legal in so many places, the actual marijuana plant, but like cannabis or hemp, it's legal because there are many plants that have been cultivated with like a low THC content, and that's what makes the plant illegal, because that's what that's the psychoactive ingredient. So there are many different cultivars of cannabis that have a low THC content. They're usually called CBD. So you could find that in a lot of places, and you could just order that direct from plants if that's something that you're curious about. And it really, like, different cultivars are either good for anxiety or for pain relief. The other one that a lot of people find interesting is catnip. So catnip is not just for cats. It makes cats like a little euphoric, but for humans, it makes us calm. It's like it's a good herb to use like for sleepy time. So, and it actually tastes lovely. So I don't know, Carolyn, I think you should try it since you have a cat.
Although, like, you shouldn't give the cat catnip and drink the catnip, because you will go to bed and the cat will like dance on you all night.
No, I mean, like, just make the tea and see if the cat like reacts.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
somebody when I used to work at the herb shop, somebody came in and bought catnip. And she said that when she made the tea, her cat went crazy. Another herb is Damiana, which is actually one of my fire way showers. It's the mother of fire in the herb crafters. That's another herb that you can burn. Lavender is lovely. You can always just add a little bit of lavender just to like make it a little bit nicer. And also burning lavender for like to cleanse, it smells really good.
Yes.
So that's another thing too. If you're gonna make like a bundle, you could put other things in it, like lavender, or maybe even some linden or rose, like all those things.
Mullein has like the leaves are nice, and you could put, it will hold things, and then you wrap it together, right?
Mhm. And then it'll just make this lovely smoke, which will smell really good as well. And if you put mullein, it'll be good for your lungs.
Nice.
All right. That's here. I don't know if you wanted to mention something.
Well, yes, I didn't. So that's our fire week that we usually do. But I did just want to give a preview, a thought on a solstice practice, just in case people want to make a plan to do it. I mean, there are many ways you can celebrate the solstice. It's the middle of the work week, and it's not like a holiday that's recognized. But sometimes even just like carving out something special, like I did this for the winter solstice. It was like, ooh, I was having my own secret celebration, and was helping me notice the more numerous or exciting, even as I had was amidst my work day. But I did want to share this one practice. I did it for the first time last year. I thought about it the year before, but I actually did it last year, and it was great. And it's on the surface, it's very easy. Number one, eat strawberries on the summer solstice. How great is that? That's all you have to do. Go outside. You know, last year it was a beautiful sunny day. So, and you know, I'm suggesting this for the day, so you have that, but you could do it another day and make it your solstice practice, because we're from this full moon to the solstice to a few days after, like we're in this height of light. Okay, but there are a few more steps. Then freeze strawberries on the summer solstice. And it's super easy to do. You just rinse, remove the stems, make, you know, the stem end a little flat, and put them on a tray, and freeze them like a couple hours, and then take them out and put them in a container that will, you know, airtight container. And then remember what Yazbelt always says, label it, because you're gonna forget. And you know, I will try and freeze strawberries just, you know, this weekend I go out picking, but I want to remember the ones that I picked on the summer solstice. And then eat the summer solstice berries on the winter solstice, and enjoy them simply as a dessert, or make them, you know, as part of a bonfire ritual. I ate some at dawn. And here they are, and they're like defrosted, you know, they're liquid. Like you can just, they really look like hearts here. Like the strawberry also has the name of heartberry. But when you defrost them, and like, it's just like the liquid blood, it's like you're really there. And I say here, doing this simple practice last year connected to me to light and dark, life and death, heat and cold, and made me aware of the spirit in the material. It was, to use an overused word with its original depth, it was awesome. And to taste the awesome regularly need not be complicated, but it's totally necessary to keep us moving through these crazy times we live in. You can add some layers, of course, add oracular elements. I like to go with tarot cards. These were probably my fire cards of the week. I brought them to the strawberry patch, and the 6 of trees emerged. And one of the meanings Rachel talks about, this is keep moving forward. There's other meanings, but just keep moving forward. And that they came out with the strawberries had me, you know, as you keep moving forward, build points of sweetness into your life, which could be these little everyday rituals, sweet times, you know, the things that bring sweetness into your life. And then there's also the little poem that starts this. Rachel's little poem is, she walks like a singer through the forest of souls. And there's only one human figure. So really the forest of souls are the trees. There's a snake in that image. There's a creature, maybe a dog. So it's, the message is like, you know, everything has a soul. And the strawberries have a soul. And when I think about this, when I let myself be with and make a connection with the strawberries, I'm released from a little while from the mechanistic world. And I'm in a world of connections. And to step out of the mechanistic world for a little while is good. I mean, I live within it. It's inside my brain. It's something I actually want to more and more kind of remove it as something that drives me. But, you know, this one pulling of the card, being with the strawberries helped me with that shifting and that change. And to have an expanded way of looking at strawberry as something with soul. You can also learn about the medicinal and or magical uses of strawberries. And here I write about Yaz Belt and how she has influenced me in thinking about this and diving into using and experimenting with plants, not having to know everything. And you know, you can use strawberries for teeth and gum care. You can just rub them, they help whiten teeth. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be doing that as I eat my strawberries. Another thing is you can look at the stories in the place where you live about strawberry from the indigenous people, wherever you are. And wild strawberry, which is much smaller. Wild strawberry is, you know, a much smaller berry. The thing we think of as strawberry now is a hybrid of a strawberry from the Northeast of the United States. And then I think Chile, well, South America and Europe, they hybridized it. And so what we think of as the strawberry comes out of that hybridizing, but wild strawberry is at least in the Americas, Europe, Asia. So there are plenty of stories. And the story I found is from the Nipmuc, which are the peoples where I live. And it's a story of a brother and sister, and they're kind of having a quarrel. And the sharing of strawberries leads to a resolution of the quarrel. And the ending of the story is this write-up, each year when the Strawberry Festival is held under the strawberry moon, it's customary for anyone holding a grudge against someone to invite that person to the festival as a token of forgiveness. Anyone who's not ready to make peace with an estranged friend or relative should not partake in the Strawberry Festival. Mm. Yes, so it's like, it's a lovely story about the strawberry, and it connects it to something bigger, this idea of forgiveness and making amends. And you know, that sometimes we just enact this thing of like someone, you know, you apologize, go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And the person immediately says, it's okay. You know, but you know, so often we really need more than that. And how do we do these things? We kind of take actions. And then I write a little, this is on my blog post, I'll link to this blog post. Working on forgiveness one-on-one, you know, bring someone strawberries and have a conversation, someone you want to make amends with. And then because the story came from the Native tradition, and there's lots of need for making amends, I have here, there's some different models from Canada to Maine, has a very powerful Truth and Reconciliation Commission work that has making changes in the state. And the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition is working on how do we, as a country, make amends for and restitution for the taking of Native children to residential schools. So that from the very simple practice of eating strawberries, we can be invited to some deeper work of forgiveness. So that is just one suggested practice that I did last year. It was great. And I've mentioned it to a bunch of people and they're all like, oh, I want to remember to do that. So I thought I would share it as an example. for this
Yeah.
time.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for listening. Do you have anywhere to go pick strawberries in New York or?
No, but I have seen and had those teeny tiny strawberries because they're little. They're like the size of my nail.
Yeah,
They're like so tiny. I saw them when I went to a friend's house upstate in upstate New York. And yeah, I was really shocked when I saw how teeny tiny they are.
do you have a Tuesday farmer's market? Could, or. if-
Oh,
if people-
the farmer, like the big farmers market around here is on Monday.
It's on Monday. Well, that's about the same
Yeah.
time.
I mean, I think I'm gonna celebrate the solstice on Monday, even though I know it's on Tuesday, but it's Juneteenth and banks are closed, so I'm gonna be off from work. And I think I could just utilize that day as my summer solstice
For
day,
sure.
frolic outside.
For sure, for sure. And, buying strawberries at the farmer's market, maybe they probably picked that day or they picked it this time, and really it's about intention, right? Bringing
Yeah.
that height of light into the depths of darkness.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw your strawberries like defrosted, to me it looked like a compote, like something to like pour over like pancakes or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
well, so that is our fire video. We will meet on Sunday for our fire sharing circle. The solstice, and we'll talk a little bit about the solstice and our fire sharing circle. Then the solstice comes, emails about celebration. And then after the solstice, we do have our final sharing circle amidst our thinking about pilgrimage. So that's preview of coming attractions.
All right. See you on Sunday.
You on Sunday. Travel well.
Bye.